What is up, all of you beautiful YouTube family? Welcome back to the Bad LSX Garage YouTube channel. In this week's video, it's almost time for the 1,000-mile maintenance. But before we take it to the shop, I want to give you a walk around, give you the pros and cons of this 2024 Road Glide. Stick around, stay tuned, and let's roll to that intro. Get in a car like this and smile, there's something wrong with you. Sorry fam, I had to clean up my mess first. Welcome back to the channel. Glad each and every one of you could stop by this week to see what's up, see what's going on here at the compound. So as I said in the beginning, it's not hardly at 1,000 miles yet. It's getting close. We're due for the 1,000-mile service for the checkup to make sure everything's broke in well and all of that. But I just wanted to give you guys a little breakdown of this 24 Road Glide. My thoughts, my reactions, how I feel about this going from a 2011 to this 2024. The things I like, the things I dislike, and we'll just see what happens from there. This video is just my thoughts and opinions. It's nothing good or bad against Harley Davidson. It's nothing good or bad against any other YouTuber out there. There again, it's just my thoughts, my opinions about this 24 Road Glide. So let's go back about 27, 28 years ago when I first started riding motorcycles. Like many of you, I started off on a cheap bike. Honda Rebel, I think, a Honda Ace, or even graduated to a, what was it, a Shadow. Then I had a Suzuki GS 550. I mean, I've had several bikes throughout the years. I always gravitated back towards the bikes with the fairings on them. For me, it was always the Batwing fairing. I loved it. Now, a lot of people have asked me, and even recently asked me, why I haven't had like a Rushmore bike up. Why did I always stick with the twin cam? Well, here's the deal with that. Twin cam was cheaper to work on, for one, and two, I couldn't see going and spending that much money for something for so little. And let me explain. Yes, there's a lot of bike there. Yes, you can get the 117 in the bigger bikes, but you're paying high dollar prices for little product. And when I could easily build that twin cam up to run with a 117, even though I haven't, I could have. Still the same bike, still the same design. I could still change suspension, change everything that I wanted to change, and did, and made it my own. So I couldn't see going anything more Rushmore until Harley come out with something bigger and better. And guess what, guys? The bigger and better is right here. With a new model year and a new model design, there's always going to be issues. There's going to be things arise and come up. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just the way it is. You're seeing it on Facebook, you're seeing it on Instagram, you're seeing it on the Harley Davidson forums, you're even seeing it on YouTube with your favorite YouTubers. Luckily, thankfully, I'm not having any of those major problems, knock on wood. It's not anything that I can't deal with or move on from. One of the major, not really major, but one of the issues that I am having is, I'm not sure how Harley recommends you to do this, but this is how I personally do it. When I turn this bike on, I just click the bike on. I let everything boot up, let the Harley logo come up, let the Harley Davidson fade away, and wait for my actual tack and speedo to come up before I start the bike. Now, there are some times when I'll do this, and it takes forever for everything to load up. Now, I'm assuming it's because it's a new design. I'm assuming it's because, well, we're literally riding on a computer right here. Even your iPhones, we have problems out of these. So you're gonna expect to have it out of this. Just takes a little longer, takes a little more time, but so far, it just works its way through and it continues to do what it needs to do. A couple selling points for Harley Davidson was that, one, this bike is lighter and it's cheaper than previous years. I can't necessarily say that it's lighter because I've never really rode that many previous years to be able to compare them to. If I compare it to my Street Glide, or its older brother, it's considerably lighter than that for sure. And the price point, well, the price is on point in my opinion. But with that price point, you get this. A little bit cheaper quality parts. This is cheap looking, kind of generic. You get down here and the cover for the transmission's a little plastic and cheap and generic, and then go to the saddlebags and they're just kind of floppy and just a little bit different than past years. But in their defense, there is more room in these saddlebags. I know it seems like there's a lot of negative going on in this video, but I'll tell you the positive here in a second. There are a couple of things on this bike though that drive me absolutely insane. I get it. If they made a perfect bike, aftermarket wouldn't have a job. So with that being said, this windshield, it absolutely sucks. It's what we call here in Kentucky as useless as tits on a boar hog. It's no good. From what my understanding, this windshield was designed for a person 5'4" or under. Yeah, that's just not going to work, and aftermarket hasn't caught up with it yet. So as of right now, this is what I'm stuck with. Now, there are a couple of people out there who's making some. I just don't like their design. If I wanted a Goldwing windshield, I would have bought a Goldwing. So I'm waiting for the perfect windshield before I change this one. The next thing I'm going to show you really doesn't have anything to do with functionality of the bike, but it's just my personal preference. I can't stand it. The bike flows so smoothly, looks so good, and then you got that big pecker hanging off the back of it. I don't understand that whole design. Let's go for the positive. These LEDs in the back, brake lights and tail lights and turning signals. Harley-Davidson finally figured out that we needed that. We are finally up to date. You don't have to run out right away and start buying aftermarket for turning signal bulbs and just to get everything to where people can see you and won't rear end you. Now it's good and you can see and be seen. Same with the headlight. You have the running light that runs around the bottom and around to the side. Then you have the big headlight in the front. Absolutely bright. You can turn it on high beam and see whatever you need to see. And the turning signals can be seen in the front as well. A lot of people complain about the seat, but to me, I enjoy the seat. It's not been bad to me at all. Put a backrest on it, Amazon special, and good to go. These handlebars are also one of my big favorite upgrades. You don't have to run right out, right away, spend $600–800 on a pair of bars. You can actually run these and feel comfortable. Now that's on the Road Glide. The Street Glide, however, is a little bit different. The 24 Road Glides and Street Glides come standard with the 117. Now I know the 117's been in the past. Obviously it was in the Road Glide ST. And I just rode a Road Glide ST not long ago, but I can absolutely say that this now liquid cooled 117, I believe will run rings around that Road Glide ST 117. Just my personal thoughts. I know for sure that it absolutely is a lot cooler to sit on and ride on without all that heat coming off of it. If you own a Harley, you know there's two things that don't go together: Harley and traffic. Good thing about this bike is once you're sitting in traffic, once you know you're going to be there for a while, you can actually turn the bike off, which now we're just going to turn the bike on but not start it, and then you can roll back the throttle. And then once you do that, listen for this. You hear that? Well, that right there is the fan kicking on, and that will cool down your bike and keep everything nice and smooth. I'm not saying that this throttle trick is the only way you've got to keeping this motorcycle cool. It also comes with fans down here at the bottom. Obviously, like a car, when it gets to a certain temperature, those fans kick on and cools everything back down. All I'm saying is this is just an extra means to help in those very hot situations. One huge feature on this motorcycle that just kind of drives me insane, to be honest, is this bike is covered up with Nanny controls. And what do I mean by Nanny controls? Well, it has ABS, traction control. You can even adjust the brake pressure to however much you desire or not desire. And if you know anything about my channel, this 2011 Street Glide has none of that. It doesn't even have ABS. So you pretty much just rely on yourself and your skills, and that's what I'm used to. I'm old school. If you can't ride a bike, then you probably don't need to be on one. So going from that 2011 to this 24 that's got everything is a little tricky. My brother and I just recently got back from a trip from Black Mountain, or what you would call the Dragon Slayer. Lynch, Kentucky or Lynch, Virginia, whatever it is. Anyways, you can go through my playlist and see videos where we've done this many of a time, so I didn't see any reason to record this day. But it's been on the 2011 Street Glide. My brother, he loves going up the mountain, but he feels like there's an issue or feels like he isn't in control when he's going down the mountain. And myself personally, I'm the opposite. I feel like that I'm in more control when I'm going down the mountain because I can trail brake, I can feel the bike, I can feel different things, inputs about the bike. I know when it's gonna break loose. I know when, feel a pebble in the road. I just can feel everything with that bike. I become one with that bike. So going up the mountain this day, we just kind of was taking it easy, just talking and just having a good day. On the way down, I thought, well, let's get a little crazy. Let's do a little bit spirited riding. Let's see how this goes. And not saying that this bike doesn't have the power, because it absolutely will fly. But what I'm saying is that it is nanny controlled out so bad that I could not do anything with this bike. Now it does have several adjustments. You can turn down the brake pressure, you can turn off ABS and traction control and all of that. And even though I was trying to do all of that as we was going down the mountain, I was still struggling. I was having a hard time. The things that would work before on my Street Glide was not working now on this 24 Road Glide. I would hit the brakes sometimes and feel like I was going to go over top the handlebars. Yeah, that's not a good feeling when you're used to being in control all the time. So I just want to make some of you guys aware that maybe going from an older bike to something that's nanny controlled out, that it is a big change. It's a big difference. I'm not saying that this is a bad motorcycle because of all those nanny features. All I'm saying is that it's choked down a little bit. I'm gonna have to figure out my ways of being able to either one, turn off or turn down some of those nanny controls, or I'm just gonna have to figure out the bike, because there again, like I said, I can feel every single input on my Street Glide, but this Road Glide I'm struggling with a little bit. Let's talk about performance of this motorcycle. So it's, like I've said, super nimble, super light. Even though it's a heavy bike, it doesn't feel heavy. You can weave in and out of traffic with ease. You can carve a mountain road with ease. Other than the nanny controls, like I said, kind of dialing things back a little bit. Once I get those things figured out and get them set to my preference, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. But that 117 is absolute powerhouse. You could crack the throttle at any time, first gear through sixth gear, and you've got plenty of power. Most motorcycles, you have to downshift to go around some slow moving traffic. This bike, you don't. You can just crack the throttle and go on. Now I'm sure the aftermarket will catch up, and there'll be cams and all sorts of different tuners and things to go on, so you could beef up this bike anymore. And of course, I'll be standing in line with my hand up saying, yes, please. But for right now, it's a decent running motorcycle. Now, my brother and I did go to Mexico. Sometimes you just gotta go there. Sometimes you bite off more than you can chew, and sometimes you're surprised. And let's just say that I was pleasantly surprised. If you watch his channel, you know that my brother has a 2008 Honda Goldwing. And if you know anything about Honda Goldwings at all, you know that they're stupid fast and stupid reliable. You can't do nothing with those bikes. In my honest opinion, and I'm a Harley guy, that is Harley's kryptonite, is Honda Goldwings. But regardless, his Honda Goldwing is pretty fast. It's that we know of, it has nothing done to it. Just a plain Jane Goldwing. And I have actually seen him take off in first gear without dumping the clutch or anything, and literally pack the wheels a pretty good ways. So I know the bike is pretty fast. So when we went to Mexico, I never really thought that I would be able to stand a chance or even hold a light to this bike. I know that he would beat me, but I didn't know how much. So if you know anything else about those Goldwings, you know that first gear is a torque monster on those bikes. And also they're only 5 speeds. Even though they're 5 speeds and this Harley is a 6-speed, we're still running the same RPM range as when I'm in 6th gear and he's in 5th gear, like at 60 miles an hour, we're running like 2,100 RPMs or something like that. So they're pretty close, even though the gearing is different. If you know anything about racing or have ever raced before, you know race is literally won the first 60 feet of the race. It's not the quarter mile. If you run 1,320 feet, it's the first 60 feet. So obviously he got the hit because he's got the torque more than I have.
So much torque. The chassis twisted coming off the line. I barely kept it on the track.
But here's the thing. Yes, he pulled away a little bit, but he never really pulled away. He stopped. He stayed there. When I hit third, I finally caught up a little bit. It jumped, but then he still never pulled away. He never pulled and I never pulled. So what that tells me is if I would have got the jump, it would have been pretty much dead even. There would have been no pulling from either one of us, and it would have been a decently close race, to be honest. It sucks that it's took Harley 18, 20 years, whatever it is, for them to actually catch up with Honda Goldwings, to be honest. But the fact is that this is a beast. This 117 is a monster. And if you're on the fence about what to do and if you should go this direction, well, if the performance is your aspect and that's what you're looking for, performance is what you're going to get with this bike, absolutely. Before I conclude this video and give you my final thoughts on this 24 Road Glide, I want to circle back around to this infotainment center, specifically the speakers and amp that is in this 24. So you may or may not know, Rockford Fosgate actually paired up with Harley on this design here. They actually put Rockford Fosgate amp in with Harley Davidson speakers. Now this amp from Rockford Fosgate is supposed to be 125 watts per channel, I think, and 4 channels. So my math is 500 watts. 500 watts is rocking the house down, to be honest. It should be tearing it up. But when you get past 35 miles per hour, you can't hear it. You can't hear none of this. Now, at first I thought maybe it's just the windshield. Maybe the windshield is causing this because, as I said in the beginning, this windshield is also an issue. But it's not. I actually looked up some videos. Volunteer Audio, as I've said in the past, is leading the edge right now on the, in my opinion, and this is my honest, humble opinion, is leading it for the whole stereo systems for these new motorcycles right now. So when I looked up their response, they said it's 9 watts. 9 watts, guys. Do you know what how much 9 watts is? 9 watts is literally going to Walmart, picking up a Bluetooth speaker and hanging it off your handlebars. That's what 9 watts sounds like. So obviously when you get up to 35 miles per hour, you're not hearing anything. It's non-existent. That goes for your Apple CarPlay, that goes for your music, everything. You can't hear it. And if you pay as much as we do for these bikes, and especially if you're coming from somebody who has never really had Apple CarPlay on a bike or never really listened to music on a motorcycle, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that sound. You're looking for that quality. But unfortunately with these, it's not it. Now you can get the Stage 2 from Harley Davidson. Stage 2 is about $1,600, $1,800, I'm not sure. And apparently that's quite considerably better. I've heard great things about that. But in my opinion, if you're gonna go that route, you might as well just go ahead and go aftermarket and hit up Jay at Volunteer Audio. Let them set you up with some Hurst speakers and that Kenwood amp. Add to it. You don't have to void your warranty. You don't have to take things out, and you just add to it. That's it, plug and play. And then you have a whole system that you can actually hear when you're running speeds of 75, 80, 85 miles per hour. As I said in the beginning, these are just my thoughts and my opinions after riding this motorcycle for 1,000 miles. Would I buy this bike again, and what do I think about this bike? So what do I personally think about this bike is it does have some issues here and there. It has some things that needs to be worked out, and I'm sure Harley Davidson is working on those. The first being this infotainment center, this iOS. It is a little slow at times. It freezes up at times. It does little things here and there. But that's just, like I said before, the nature of the beast. As time goes on, I'm sure it'll get better. One of the major concerns that really, it stays in the back of my mind all the time, but I keep pushing it away is, what happens if this goes down? What happens if this freezes up? Then I'm gonna have just a big, huge paperweight here. I'm not gonna be able to ride it like I do my Street Glide. I'm gonna lose gauges. I'm gonna lose functionality of the whole bike pretty much. But that's just one of those things that you're gonna have to deal with. With new technology is always that concern. And I mean, you just gotta push it out of the back of your mind and just keep hoping that that never happens. But regardless, that isn't a breaking deal for me. It still is an awesome bike to actually ride. Yes, it has a short windshield. Yes, it has a big pecker hanging off the back for a license plate light. It has some little odds and ends that needs to be changed up when you get the bike. Maybe you like that. Maybe you like that big pecker hanging on. I don't know. That's your preference. I'm just saying I don't personally like it. But all in all, it is a decent bike for the price. Would I buy this bike again? And my answer is absolutely. Absolutely. Would I give more than $30,000 for this bike though? That's a question. That's the question you need to ask yourself. Myself personally, I wouldn't have gave more than $30,000 for it. I wouldn't give more than $30,000 for any motorcycle. That's just my opinion. That's my budget. That's what I'm personally willing to give. That's it. No matter what kind of bike it is. That's just how I feel. That's totally up to you. That's totally up to your household and how you feel and whether you want to go that direction or not. But yes, I would absolutely buy this motorcycle again and absolutely love the 1,000 miles so far. And I can't wait to put more miles on it. I don't know if Harley Davidson watches these videos or not, and they may stumble up on it someday. I don't know. It is what it is. But either way, I want them to know that they built an awesome bike here. I really do love this bike. I know I told you guys some negatives and there might have been some downfalls in this bike, but I want to say they absolutely got it right. It's 98% pretty much the way that I'm going to leave it. You can't do too much more to this. I mean, other than maybe aftermarket wheels and just kind of more customizing it to your personality, it's perfect in my opinion. But one thing, Harley, that does aggravate me, just one thing, well, there's a couple, but I'm just going to say this one, is the stereo. You guys claimed that it was 175 watts per channel, 500 watts. Well, even at 175 watts per channel, that's still rocking regardless. But here's the deal. You guys had to test these bikes. You guys had to know that these stereos was no more than 9 watts per channel. You had to know that it was not much louder than a Bluetooth speaker. That irks me a little bit because not everybody has got the money to sink in a motorcycle after they've already spent $30,000, $32,000 on it, after they finance it, of course, and after the, the big markup that the dealerships give you. So they're stuck with this. They've got a big, nice, huge infotainment center, Apple CarPlay, but they can't hear none of it. I wish that would, for next year's line model, at least hopefully maybe you guys are listening to us a little bit because you did give us what we've asked for. But at least do something different with this stereo, please. That's all I've got for you for this week's video. Hopefully it might have helped somebody out. Hopefully maybe somebody's on the fence about whether to buy this new 24 Road Glide or just go with the previous year. There again, it's not a bad motorcycle. There are just some things that need to be worked out and worked on. If you've enjoyed this video, you know what to do. I don't have to keep telling you, but just in case, go down there and give old Dad a big thumbs up if you liked it. And I love each and every one of you. Until next week, fam. I don't know what's going to happen. This heat wave that we got going on here in the eastern part of Kentucky is kicking our butts. But we're going to make something happen. Until next week, fam, you ready? Let's do this. Peace. I'm out.